This is Damien Greathead from the 2020 Group, and welcome to today's webinar where we're talking about social media and how to get the most out of it during tax season. It's a great opportunity, and as you see there in the top right-hand corner, we've got the social media bandwagon. Social media has now been around for a number of years, and it's really changing the way in which we make buying decisions. And we have to be very careful about how we use it, and we need to be consistent in how we use it to get the most out of it. The best thing is we can develop a pretty comprehensive social media strategy in less than 5-10 minutes a day. And I think that's really important, is we dictate how much time we're going to be putting towards it, and we're very disciplined that once that 10 minutes is up per day, we shut it down and move on to the next task. Otherwise, we can get tied up and all of a sudden have a half an hour behind us and we haven't really achieved anything. So we do need to be very disciplined, and today's webinar is designed to give you different easy and simple ideas on various platforms that you can all do. So if you do have any questions, please just raise your hand. Or type that question into the chat section or the question section, and we'll do my best to answer those as we go. Also, we'll get the slides out to everybody following this event, as well as CPE. So just remember look for that survey that comes about half an hour to an hour after the webinar is complete, and that's where you can enter anyone else who's sitting in the room with you that needs CPE as well. So we'll get those CPE certificates out tomorrow. But let's get going, and I want to share with you the power of the web. And really, this is a case study of one of our members who actively started to use their website more. 5 years ago, everybody needed a website, and so that was essentially, we dragged most of the profession kicking and screaming into actually getting a website. Now we've got to actually use the website as a marketing device, and I'll just share with you one firm that's been doing it. After 3 months of making a consistent effort and measuring and monitoring, they saw website traffic increase by 50%. Now, I don't know if that was one visit a month, all of a sudden came to two visits a month, but what we can see, though, is at least we have a starting point. And if that starting point is 10 visits, we at least know where we're going. And then from there we can build. But in 3 months, they've increased their website traffic by 50%. Interestingly, a keyword search for them, going beyond the partner names or the firm name, they're now starting to develop a real niche within the agriculture area. Well, sorry, they've always had a niche in the agricultural area, but they've really worked on their keywords so that there's a lot more agriculture references on their website. So when people do Google anything to do with agriculture and accounting in that area, their firm is coming up first. Interestingly, Google Analytics tells us the blog is their second most visited page on the site, and they've got different articles on a full range of topics, such as the California car donation tax benefits, QuickBooks reconciliation summaries, voided deleted transactions in QuickBooks. And it's interesting, 1 month where they did that voided deleted transaction article in QuickBooks, that was one of their key search words. So people were plugging into Google, how do I void or delete a transaction in QuickBooks? And then their blog article was coming up. So it was really interesting just to see that there was a correlation between what the blog articles were writing about, but then also what the search terms were coming in. And that's what we really want to be thinking about when we do develop our web presence, is how do we think like our clients? What are the questions our clients are asking us? How can we really focus the message that's on our web page towards a very finite portion of the population? Interestingly, traffic sources from social media contributed nearly 20%. And interestingly, Stephanie shared with me that not many of their clients are actually using social media, because she sent out a survey to everyone to ask, are you actively using social media for business purposes, for staying in touch with family and friends? Not at all. And a large majority came back and said we're not using social media at all, other than maybe look at the grandkids' photos, etc., etc. So what we can gain from that is that we're looking at potentially 20% new potential clients, people that haven't heard of us before, people that are interested in what we're saying. And this is, again, just broadening our web presence with our social media platforms. So if we can see that 18% growing, it means we're potentially getting out in front of more people, and that's what's really critical. And the Chamber of Commerce down in the Central Valley there, they regularly retweet the WHH's tweets, and it's about tax deadlines, it's about interesting articles that are in their newsletter. It's all information that generic enough that it will appeal to a wide audience, but then it also gives enough information that people can really see that WHH are doing much more to brand themselves, to educate people, and to build their profile and build their character and their brand in this web space. And I don't know about you, but I would be happy if any of my tweets were retweeted to 1,700 followers at the Chamber of Commerce, for example. So what we can see is while writing an article for maybe a blog, that can be quite time-consuming. We're really able to leverage multiple platforms very efficiently and very effectively to get information out to the audience. Why social media? Because it really enhances our number of platforms, which gives more sources of traffic coming to our site. It gives us a greater web presence. So rather than just our CPA firm's website, we can be either A, adding more URLs and redirecting to our website, or alternatively, because we've got a Twitter profile, a LinkedIn profile, a Facebook profile, we might have a blog with a separate URL that's very focused in a particular area. I know one member in the UK actually has a blog just for dentists and accounting considerations of a dental practice. So when we extend our presence on the web, we're just becoming a much more powerful force. And also what it means is we're where our clients and prospective clients are. And because we can do it cost and time efficiently, we can be out on any number of platforms, which allows us, our clients and our prospective clients and our referral sources to hear our message on any particular platform that they like. So they might be on Facebook and they might like your services. Alternatively, some folks really like Twitter. They don't get on anything else, but Twitter's a really good news feed for them. So that's the way that I can get my message. And really, it's about dripping on people. And again, with 5 minutes a day, I can drip on a growing pool of people. So, for example, last week we had 300 followers at 2020 Group USA. We've been working hard to grow that by following other people, and now we have maybe 500 people. But my message can just drip on people on a consistent, regular basis. So I don't necessarily need to be directly in front of them. It doesn't need to be a costly direct mail piece. I don't have to run a seminar, but I can share things on different platforms, and people will pick up that message depending on what platform they prefer. One of the other things that social media is really great for is because you can get key news affecting various industries. You'll notice around certain times a prevalence of certain types of questions. So tax time, obviously, a lot of questions about how do we classify particular costs, what credits are out there, and what we can do is we can see what the questions people are asking, and then also check the industry pulse. So what are some of the other thought leaders of that industry? What are they saying about what's going on? How does that educate you to better service your clients? To retweet a particular industry thought leader really just drips on people, and I know that prospective clients are out there saying, wow, this is a CPA firm that's very progressive. This is a CPA firm that's out there that's sharing really valuable information. I want to work with these guys. It's an amazingly efficient use of your time. When we'll talk about Hootsuite a little bit later, that allows us to coordinate all of our social media platforms, and it's free. That's one of the best things about all of these platforms. At the base level, they're free. And if we do want to add anything extra, it's really a minimal $5, $10, $15 a month if we want added reporting or if we want added functionality. But these tools really allow us to use our time efficiently. And I think, and we've seen any number of firms build a profile in as little as 5 minutes a day. And I can share a quick story. But while I share that story, let's open the first poll. We do need these just to make sure everyone's paying attention. So let's launch that first poll. And while we're doing that, so please make sure you just give us some feedback. While you're doing that, share a story of a managing partner of, it was I think the 60th on the top 100 firms. When he Googled himself, he did not come up in the search engine results. He came up at about page 3 or page 4, and he thought, as the chief operating officer of one of the larger companies in the accounting profession with a particular industry specialization, that wasn't quite good enough. So what he did was he devised a plan, many of the things we'll be talking about today, just to test whether or not he could build his profile. And he confirmed that he did 10 minutes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 10 minutes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he had a list of different things that he did in each of those. And 3 months later, he was on the front page when you Googled him, when you Googled his expertise. And interestingly, he started getting many more followers, many more people connecting with him on LinkedIn, and many more people liking the firm Facebook page. I think they also had a YouTube channel, and so this just grew and grew and grew. And 30 minutes a week, that's all he did, and he was very disciplined about that with the 30 minutes a week. So let's close that poll and share it, and we'll just see the results there. Do you think social media has a place in your marketing efforts? Thankfully, 0% have said no. 11% have said yes, and I'm already successfully using it. And if you want to add any thoughts or suggestions, anything that's worked really well for you, throw those into the chat section, and I'll share them with today's audience. 78% have said yes, but show me how, and hopefully that's what's going to happen today. And 11% have said maybe, I'm not 100% convinced yet. And I think that's right. And I think that is fair enough. What I will say is we've changed the way in which we make buying decisions. Yes, people will still, obviously those direct referrals from trusted business sources, from current clients, they far outweigh the number of leads that you'll get from just pure social media campaign. But what happens is when we do get a direct referral from a current client or a fellow professional, they'll come to our website. They'll see our website, obviously, to make sure we're a legitimate company. Then they'll look at how else are we engaging with people. And if we do have our Twitter feeds, our LinkedIn profiles, our blogs that are there, they'll see that we're just much more proactive than probably their current CPA firm that they're not so happy with, or that they're looking around. So that's why social media is important, to strengthen the direct referrals, but then also add additional lead generation sources, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I hope I've given you a good argument for why social media. Let's talk about search engine optimization very quickly, and this is really, really important because this will help us to measure the effectiveness of our social media efforts. Google Analytics is free, and we're going to go in and have a look at some of the reports very quickly, but it allows us to find out how people are finding you. And what we need to do is we need to make sure our search engine optimization is much better than just CPA San Francisco, or Accountant San Francisco, or QuickBooks San Francisco. That's the old way of search engine optimization. We've got to be thinking about what are the questions that our clients, our prospective clients, are asking. What are the search terms that are going in to the search engines that are leading to businesses and clicking on profiles. So let's go and have a look at Google Analytics. And as I said, this is a free service, and I'd suggest that you come in perhaps once a month maybe, and just get a couple of key figures. Interestingly, here's just the standard report. This is the overview, January 5 through February 4 versus December 5 through January 4. The number of visits were up 53%, so 724 visits in Jan through Feb versus 400 visits in the prior month. 34% of those have been unique visitors, so we've obviously got our number of visits are coming up, but with only 34% being unique visitors, of those 724 folks or visits, people are coming back on a more regular basis. And so that's a really good thing, that if we're increasing our visits, our unique visitors might be going down, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. What we are seeing, however, is our percentage of new visits is down. And that might be something that we want to focus on this month. But we're just getting feedback in terms of what is our website doing. There are so many different metrics contained within Google Analytics, but this front page is really effective, and we can just see the graphical representation of what's actually happening. So I'd encourage you just to get in there and have a look at the that Google Analytics front page report. Next section, this is really interesting. This is our traffic sources, and what we're on here is our keywords. So what we've got here is not provided, so that's most likely people are coming directly to our website. Second, people are plugging into Google or into whatever search engine, Wiebe, Hinton and Hamberleck, and that's obviously the firm's name. So no surprises there that would be the biggest one on the site. Interesting, our third one here, not a huge, I mean there's only 7 visits so not a huge proportion of it, but it's interesting that Obamacare minimum essential coverage, that's what somebody plugged into a search engine to find them. And what that means is when we look at these keywords, we can see how people are finding us. So obviously people are finding us via our name. That's important. We've got to make sure that Wiebe, Hinton, Hamberleck is prominent throughout our website and in multiple places. We've also got an opportunity to see how other folks are finding us. And we've got to look at Obama minimum essential coverage and say, okay, so people are plugging in Obamacare. How can we get more Obamacare-related terms into our website, into our social media campaign, into our Twitter feed, into our LinkedIn profiles, into our blog? How do we get more of that in there? Because while it's only 7 visits, it's still showing us that that's how some people are finding us. And then no surprises, we go back to the firm names. So keyword search is very important there and really helpful to get our keywords out into the rest of our platforms. Here's an interesting one. This is traffic sources, and we're looking at the referral source. So when it's referral traffic, so not Google, not plugging the name directly into the website. What we're doing here is we're finding where have people come from, and number 1 there is CPA Wiebe. So this firm changed their URL. Last year, so obviously some people still have CPA Wiebe as a favorite plugged in there, so they hit cpawiebe.com and that sends them over to the new page. But I'm liking that we have 31 visits coming from Facebook, 24 visits coming from LinkedIn. Mobile Facebook is generating some traffic for us, and down here Twitter's generating some traffic for us. So what that tells me is that our social media campaign is working, is making inroads. And again, 30 minutes a week, we're increasing the traffic coming to our site. So interestingly, it looks as all of these figures are actually down on previous year, on the previous month. So we've got to ask ourselves what happened there. And honestly, it might have just been that January 5 through February 4, we took up our foot off the pedal because holidays, vacations, etc., etc. Who knows, the person responsible for social media could have been out sick for 2 weeks, and that would have had a dramatic impact on these results. So let's not get too worried about our drop, because, I mean, we're only going from 33 to 31 or from 32 to 24, but it gives us feedback that our social media efforts, our platforms are making sense. So in terms of search engine optimization, talk with your website provider. You've got to go beyond CPA in town. And if you Google accountant and your town area, and you're not coming up in that first page, then we've got to work on it. And I know some folks might be a CPA in downtown Chicago, and how are they going to compete? That's where we've got to get very specialized and very targeted with who we're looking for. So that's when we've got to think about the questions that either A, your clients are asking you. So what are the frequently asked questions coming in? Let's get that type of content on our website. Let's get that type of content into our social media campaigns. What are what are the keywords that people are using to find you, and we'll show you Google AdWords after that'll help us to identify those keywords. And then we want to get a presence on other search engines. And by other search engines, I mean YouTube, Yelp.com, these open platforms that are there that have thousands upon millions, if not billions, of visitors a month and a day. We've got to get a presence on there so that they support all of our other efforts. So let's get some feedback. Let's just ask the quick question of, do you measure your website's traffic? There should have been an apostrophe in there, but I think everyone understands. So coming back in, looking at the results there, with about 80–90% voted. 60% have said no, and then 40% have said, I've looked at it but I don't understand anything. So hopefully, just if you just looked at those 3 pages, the overview, just to see what is the traffic doing. Second of all, the traffic sources, so what is the keyword that people are plugging into search engines to find you, and then the third area being the traffic sources, as in what other platforms are people finding you by. So if you just looked at those 3 areas, I think you would get some really interesting information. Let's not dwell on a daily basis, but maybe let's get in there once a month and incorporate that into our management reporting, just to say 3 key metrics: number of visits, maybe time on page, and another metric, and that every month it just gets reported on, just to see what the trends are, and also just to see that our 10 minutes every other day is paying off. So let's close that down. And also I spent 20 minutes on the phone with one of our members going through the Google Analytics report of their website and talking about that. So if you'd like to do that and you're a premium member, then just schedule a time and we'll get up and running. If you haven't got Google Analytics yet, it might just take a couple of weeks to get some data in there. But once we've got some data in there and we can compare it to previous periods, more than happy to spend 20 minutes, do a one-on-one go-to meeting just to talk about your particular firm. So let's keep moving now. Let's get on to some of the actual platforms. And again, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, please make sure you just plug those into the question area. I get a lot of comments from people, not so much now. I think people are starting to become a little bit more savvy about using social media platforms. They assumed that it was the answer to everything. I created a profile and then sat back and waited for my phone to ring. That's not going to happen. And if that is your social media strategy, you're going to be very disappointed with the results, because even though it is a highly leveraged, cost-efficient, time-efficient platform, we still have to demonstrate our expertise. We still have to build trust, just as we would if we were going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting or if we were at an association meeting. We still have to demonstrate that we're a worthy source of information. But the good thing is we don't have to stand at those Chamber of Commerce meetings or at those association meetings for extended periods of time and in one-on-one conversations. We can really leverage the platform and develop our expertise or prove our expertise and develop a trust by going beyond just the profile, getting in there and getting very detailed. I know a number of firms are having some really good luck with people searching for construction accountants or 1031 exchange accountants, healthcare specialists. So if your accounting firm does have those specialties, let's make sure our individual profile and our group and our firm profile has that information in it. What we want to be doing is we want to be answering questions that come into the various groups that are a part of LinkedIn. And a lot of people are using LinkedIn to go in and ask questions of fellow professionals. And this is where you can demonstrate some expertise. So let's have a look here, for example, at the Construction Professionals Forum. Wait for that to come through on your screen. There we are. So let's have a look at a couple of things. What it's telling us is there are 44,540 members. We don't have any information in terms of how active they are at this point. But there's no problems with just joining this group. If we have a particular niche in construction, and interestingly we see Wesley Middleton, he's a tax partner at Malone Bailey. LLP. Brian Felix, National Association of Construction Auditors. Sounds exciting. You can see that CPAs are joining this group because what it means is this is a really good opportunity to find out what are the questions that construction professionals are asking. What are they asking their fellow construction professionals? What are they asking other professionals such as attorneys and accountants about how they run their business better? What's also really cool is we've got similar groups here. So for example, if we do have the Construction Professionals Forum, we might join that. That says that the Commercial Construction Professionals has 1,400 members on it. Sacramento Construction Professionals, so if I was looking to target a little bit more closely, I could then just sign up into this group and it has 714 members. Not a lot of activity going on, so we might not, there might not be too much going on. I like the group statistics where we actually see, check out the this is what people have identified themselves as in terms of their position within their business. So I think you can really see the director and manager. There's some interesting people in this group. So you'll then want to get into it and see what questions are being asked. What we've got to do, again, we've only got 10 minutes a day, so we've got to sign up for the Daily Digest or the Weekly Digest. So the Daily Digest just comes at the end of each day, and it gives you an update of all the different groups that you're a part of. And what it means is you can then just quickly scroll down, glance at each discussion, and see if there's an opportunity to demonstrate expertise. So if I've got my 10 minutes, here's what I'm going to do. This is one that 2020 Innovation Group, so our company around the world. This is the digest that came in. The first one was the Liberty Accountants bookkeeping software. I have no idea what that is, doesn't really interest me, so I just move on. Next, I see I have a client who is a UK resident but needs assistance with US taxes and US tax returns. Can you recommend a firm to obtain a fee quote? I see that and I'm all over it. I don't need to go on to any of these other overnight markets. That's just a bit of a discussion. 23 hints for creating content that Google loves. I might come back to that, but here is where I can really demonstrate my expertise and potentially get a referral in. And then the next one there is we're looking to work with a business partner who specializes in international tax. Is anybody out there? Now, that appeals to me, so I might just click on that and go see the discussion, and you know what, it's not really my area of expertise, so I just move on. But this Daily Digest really allows us to be very efficient in how we use our time. I might get that Construction Professionals Digest, and there's nothing on there that impacts me. Just click and delete, and that's taken me 2 minutes or 3 minutes to scan through that information. Alternatively, I might just put it into another folder and come back and have a read of some of the other discussions, as I said, to get that pulse of what's going on. So make sure you use the Daily Digests on LinkedIn and on all social media profiles. Otherwise, you'll just get inundated with emails about different things going on. And I have actually set it up so it goes to a Gmail account. So I'm very much in control of that 10 minutes that I come in, open Gmail, nothing there for me, close down Gmail, or alternatively get in and answer a question. Now, that might take a little longer than 10 minutes. Alternatively, I might see the question and I might budget 20 minutes to come back later. But again, I'm talking about that 10 minutes of being what are we using with that time to see where we build our profile. So yes, it might take a little bit longer to answer the question, but we want to be as efficient as possible getting to that point. So update the profile. Here are the action steps for everybody. Connect with more people. Connect with your clients. Connect with your referral sources. Typically what happens now is make sure when you do go to a networking event or you grab someone's business card, always connect with them in LinkedIn. That seems to be proving quite popular. I head off to a conference, come back, and before I'd send everyone an email to say it was really nice to meet you. Now I connect with them on LinkedIn and join them into my network. Join a group. If your firm has specific niches, let's make sure you've got a presence in those. Let's make sure we've got a presence in those at a local level and at a national level, and see ways in which we can answer questions, participate in discussions. The other area that you'd want to do is ask for a recommendation. If your clients are delighted with their work, they're not afraid to admit that you're their CPA or share that, and they're happy to write a testimonial, then get them to write a recommendation, because that makes the world of difference as well. When people are actually searching for you, and they see other people recommending you, and again, it really goes back to that how people are changing the way they make buying decisions. Yes, a friend or business associate has recommended you, so you're doing pretty well already, and you're highly likely to get the business. But now when I go onto LinkedIn or other websites and see that other people are saying exactly the same things, that's where we get the leverage of these platforms. What we can also do is we can also go into LinkedIn, and we can find who's been searching for me. In the free version, it'll just give you a very basic it'll give you a basic outline, but again, what we might just be looking at is seeing who has been viewing us, and is that number growing. We don't necessarily need to know exactly who's been following us, because that gets a little bit stalkerish and a little bit creepy, but we might just say, my goal this month, or my goal for this quarter, is for more people to be viewing my profile. And that comes about from encouraging people to connect with you by answering questions, by asking for recommendations. So again, we can sort of see whether our efforts are paying off on LinkedIn by more people joining us. And let's just put that LinkedIn profile everywhere. Let's get it in the email signature. Let's encourage people to connect with me on LinkedIn. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So let's ask another poll. We're about halfway through. And let's ask the question, what will you do on LinkedIn? And let's just see where people are at, and let's just see where people think they're going to get the biggest bang for their buck. So what will you do on LinkedIn following this webinar? Will you just start your profile? Will you update the profile with more details, ask for a recommendation, join a group, or I'm already very active on LinkedIn? It's interesting where we're just seeing more people start the prospecting process through LinkedIn. So, and we do have one success story out of Southern California where that's where the call originated from. Was they were actually looking for an accountant to bring on internally, and then they found this member's profile that specializes in government contractors, and that all came through LinkedIn. And what we're doing is we're shortening the sales cycle, because people are able to get a sense of who you are and what you do without having to have that one-on-one meeting. So before they even come to that one-on-one meeting, they have it in their mind of who you are and who you stand for. So let's close that poll and let's share those results, and we'll see what people think. So 25%, we're just going to start the profile. We just need 10 minutes a day. Let's get on there, and another 25% have said they're going to update my profile with more details, and that's really important. More detail, the better. More focus, the better. Let's just not be a generalist accountant. If you have particular industries or particular service niches, let's make sure we promote those heavily. 0% said ask for a recommendation. That's interesting, but I'd encourage you to get out there and recommend others. So if you've got an estate planning attorney that's done some really good work for you, get out and recommend him or her, and she might do the same. She might reciprocate back. This social media area is all about reciprocity. So if I recommend somebody, there's a good chance that they're going to recommend me back. I obviously can't get upset if they don't recommend me back, but if I'm out there actively promoting other people, then there's a sense that they will also reply and reciprocate with a recommendation or some form of promotion. So look at ways in which you can do that. Join a group. Nearly 40% have said yes, join a group, and that's a great idea. So just go into that group section and search for it might just be your local business council. I know I'm a member up here of the Marin County Small Business group on LinkedIn, and there's 4,000 members there, and every now and then there's an opportunity for our CPA firm to answer some questions about QuickBooks or tax questions. And then 13% have said, I'm already very active on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted if anyone wants to throw into that chat box any success stories they've had from LinkedIn, just to show that that it's not just me talking about it, that other people are having success with it. But as a way of building profile, developing trust, it's a great way to do it. Twitter. I thought Twitter was a waste of time a long time ago, but I think it is a tremendous way in which you can get your information, get your message, get something out to your followers very efficiently. And the goal really is to get followers. So how do we get followers? Again, it's that reciprocity. Some of the other businesses that do how to get followers, they have an opportunity to follow us and we'll send you a discount code for your next purchase. Follow us to receive a free something. Obviously, an accounting firm could say follow us and receive a free industry report, follow us and receive something, but the follow us and get a discount on something not going to work for a professional services firm. So let's not do it that way, but certainly follow us and download an industry report on X. I think that would be very valuable. If you've got a white paper of any description, follow us for your free white paper on X. Follow us for a free link to our YouTube video on QuickBooks, whatever that may be. That might encourage people to follow you, but that business-to-customer B2C type Twitter promotion doesn't work as well for professional services. But what we want to do is we want to get people following us. And so that means we have to start following others. So one of the best ways to do that is just to start the list. Who are you going to follow? And I would follow your clients, follow your referral sources, follow your prospective clients. Here's a great one. Follow your competition. Find out what they're doing. How are they using Twitter to develop an online presence, develop an online profile? And what will happen is as you start following these folks, that reciprocity rule will kick in and they will follow you back, assuming you've got particularly if they already know you, they will more than likely follow you back. Alternatively, some people might then go and do a little bit more research. So maybe a prospective client, for example, might see that you followed them, might click on your profile, which will then take them to your website, which will then talk about how you're an accounting firm that specializes in a particular industry. That's a really good opportunity to use landing pages just to see what is working and what isn't working. And again, really see from Google Analytics is how did that work out in terms of did we see a spike in referrals from Twitter this month? And again, Google Analytics really shows us to enable us to measure and manage, and then we can make changes. Now, if you're not, the good thing about Twitter is so many folks are using it for a news feed. So that is, rather than going to CNN or rather than going to the Times or whatever other news source, what they're doing is they're using Twitter to see what's actually worth reading. And so if somebody that I'm following might be an interesting estate planner, might be the coach of the San Francisco 49ers, it could be a funny comedian. If I'm following them and they've suggested something to read and it appeals to me, I click on that link and it takes me to what the article is. And that's how people are finding their news. They're looking to their thought leaders, people whose opinion they trust. They're looking to those folks to say, there is so much information out there. Help me work my way through it. Help me wade my way through it. So if I, for example, was sitting here and I had Twitter open, for example, and I saw something come up from my CPA firm that just said interesting information on tax filing deadline changes, what that's saying to me is, oh, wow, my CPA is active. My CPA is sending me information, and it's up to me whether or not I want to click on it, but my CPA is doing something to educate me and it's giving me an opportunity to engage. That's what we want to do, and that's what we want to say is by sharing different articles, by sharing information, you don't need to come up with that content. So as we dip our toe in the water, we might just look at, okay, so who are we going to follow? We're going to follow our clients, our referral sources, the competition, and some thought leaders. and then we're just going to see what they do. And then we're going to watch how they interact on Twitter. And then when we're comfortable with seeing how they are using Twitter, we might retweet something that they've said. We might share an article that we've read that we thought was interesting. Because what we're doing is saying to our followers, hey, here's an interesting article. We found it interesting, so you might find it interesting too. If they find it interesting or not, it doesn't really matter because, again, we're just dripping on them and letting them know that we're out there in this space and providing information out there and helping them wade through all the information. Once you're getting more comfortable, we can start tweeting our own content. So that might be IRS changes, upcoming deadlines, maybe some planning ideas, and then we can link that to various websites for more information. So it might go to our blog, it might go to another firm's website, whatever it is. We can then link and grow our web, so to speak, of internet presence. I would also suggest we avoid controversy. Let's not share necessarily our political or our religious, or let's just keep it really focused on who we are and what we do. Nothing wrong with sharing some sporting news or cultural news that's happening, but let's avoid controversy as much as possible because that can really turn people off when they misinterpret your message. So keep it with IRS changes, deadlines, planning ideas, really interesting articles. So how do we get followers? We've got to start following people. Then what we do is we go and have a look at who are we following and how many followers do they have. So for example, Rick Telberg, he's a journalist in the accounting profession. And what this tells us is he has 11,133 followers. That's a nice following. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on those followers and see who I should also be following. And again, the theory of, well, I won't call it a theory of reciprocity, but again, that reciprocity idea kicks in that other folks will follow us back. So that is the easiest way to find out who different folks, who else is out there who's following other people that are in the same space as you, and that's a great way just to get started beyond our clients. Let's find out who else is out there, who else is engaged with Twitter, because that's important. We see that Rick, he's got 39,000 tweets, 11,000 followers. 2020 Group USA, we're following 350, only 177 followers. I'm delighted to say that we're now following close to 1,000 people, and that followers has increased to about 400 people. So think about it. Very cost effectively, 400 people can see my message without me doing anything. And that, well, without me having to be physically in front of 400 people. Obviously, it's a Twitter feed, and if they're not on Twitter at that one time, they might miss it. But if we can do regular tweets throughout the course of a week or throughout the course of a day, then we're able to do that. This 7 winning business lessons from Super Bowl. On the left-hand side where I've got circled, that's where you can share anything. So what I'd encourage you to do and encourage your people to do, if they read an interesting article, this is off Inc. Magazine's website, if they read an interesting article, have them send that link to you, and then you can share that. Alternatively, as people become more comfortable and more confident with Twitter or with whichever social media outlet you want to use, we can open that up to other folks, and then they can just share an interesting article. Because imagine if you're in a 5-person firm, 5 people send you an interesting article a day that they read. And then you just line that up into Hootsuite, for example. And this is a great thing that in 10 minutes, I can schedule 10 tweets to go out over the next 2 days. So if I have 10 interesting articles that have come in from people, I can then schedule those to go out maybe on the hour every hour, on the hour every 2 hours. Just set them all up in that 10 minutes per day, and then they will just go out automatically to whatever platform I want to connect to. And again, very leveraged way of using multiple platforms. So Hootsuite is free, and then it depending on the features you want to use, but a very effective way. I can come in on a Monday and essentially line up all of my planned tweets then what will happen is I'll log on to Twitter every now and then and just see what some other folks are saying, and I can retweet those just to mix things up a little bit. Alternatively, I can schedule retweets. So I can retweet something but schedule it for about an hour and a half away. Schedule it to go out tomorrow. And again, that just builds my posting automatically, so I don't have to do it. So I can post it to LinkedIn, post it to Twitter, post it to Facebook, Google+, a number of platforms all at once. And again, that just means that I can touch my clients wherever they want to, on whatever platform they want to be on. Let's have a very quick look at Yelp. Really powerful search engine. And what happens here is when somebody Googles Fredericks and Crawford CPAs, for example, obviously our URL comes up. And just think about this. We've been given a recommendation, and that their next step is then to go to the web and see what else is out there. So Fredericks and Crawford obviously comes up first, but then on Yelp, our 5-star rating comes up. So we can go to the website, and Fredericks and Crawford, that's where we talk about how wonderful we are. And that's where we talk about we're the best CPAs in the area. And yes, that's what our website is for, to promote our services to our clients, to our prospective clients. But here is where Yelp really kicks in. And Yelp's an interesting situation because it's just getting much, much more traffic. So when somebody comes to our profile on Yelp and we've gone in, we've claimed our profile, we haven't added any photos. We could do that. We've got our business hours in. You can also put a special offer in there, so it might be for a free tax organizer, call. For your free copy of 57 Ways to Grow Your Business, call. You can think of any number of offers. But what we have down here is Sean W. has shared his experience. We just moved to Marin and we're looking for a new accountant after my old accountant made a $30,000 mistake on last year's taxes. We're two professionals with some rental income, and we bought and sold property this year, so our return was mildly complicated. So while our website talks about how fantastic we are, Sean W. has given us a really good insight into what it's like to work with Fredericks and Crawford CPAs. Tara is exactly what we were looking for: professional, knowledgeable, friendly, and fast. My free one-hour consultation stretched past 2 hours, but she never rushed or pressured me. So now that person that got a recommendation, they've gone to our website, seen that we're a legitimate company, they've read Sean W.'s review, they are much more confident about picking up the phone and having this phone call. And what we can see down there is one person actually found this review useful. And our CPA firm is getting, during tax season, and we like good individual clients, during tax season we are getting maybe 3 or 4 phone calls a week from Yelp. And we're not doing anything for it, which is the best part about it. Yelp's a double-edged sword. So as we can see here, Margaret S. and Crystal F. had 2 quite distinct experiences with another CPA firm. So we do have to be careful about that, and we've got to make sure that we are aware of what's being said about us. The thing about Yelp, though, is it doesn't matter. Somebody can go on and say anything about you if they've had a bad experience. You don't have to necessarily claim the profile. So that's really important, and we could do a whole webinar on what to do if we do have a negative situation. But down here we can see add owner comment. So we've got to sign up for socialmention.com and make sure that we are aware of anything that's being said about us, because that's really important. But Yelp is there. It's going to be there. People have an opportunity to say good things. People have an opportunity to say bad things. What we need to do is we need to encourage people to get on Yelp and say good things about us. We need to get onto Yelp and say good things about our clients. So if we had a good experience at their restaurant or at their dental practice or wherever it was, we can share that experience. And again, people will reciprocate by writing reviews for yourselves. So key steps: claim your profile, just get your information up there, update it and make an offer, get some photos in there, ask Yelp savvy clients to write a review. So we actually had one firm, when they did their social media survey, it was 10 questions about the different platforms they use, and they asked the question, do you know what Yelp is? Do you use Yelp? And then once we had that information, we could actually go back to those folks that said, I know and use Yelp, and ask them to write reviews for us. And most of them were more than happy to, assuming it was a positive relationship. So that is going to really boost our website presence. And then, as I said, provide a review to your clients. Look at reputation.com and socialmention.com to find out ways in which you can really track what people are saying about you over different platforms. So let's ask the question here, have you used Yelp to find providers? We've got 10 minutes, and so we're going to wrap up with YouTube and pay-per-click advertising, and then we'll wrap up. But again, no questions have come through, so I assume we're on track here. So, interestingly, only 25% of the audience have used Yelp to find a provider. I would encourage you to get on and check it out. It's probably more prevalent in the urban areas, but if in more suburban or more rural areas it's not being used, this is a great way to claim your profile and get some reviews on there. Because if nobody else has reviews on there, then you are going to go to the top of the list. And because Yelp is a highly trafficked website, that means that those reviews are going to come up in the search engine results when people plug in your name, when people search for a CPA in the area. Also, you can search CPA, your town, accountant, your town. So I'd encourage you as well just to go back to yelp.com and type in accountant Corte Madera or accountant Pasadena, wherever you might be, just to see how what people are saying about either your firm. Also, what are people saying about other people's firms? So, interestingly, 75% of people have said no. But Yelp, I go to Yelp, and it impacts my buying decisions, whether that's from a mechanic to an accountant to a bar, whatever that might be. Yelp is impacting how I make my buying decisions, and that's very true for other folks. So let's close that poll. We'll come along now to YouTube. In 2011, there were 3 billion views per day. Granted, 2.99 billion of those were probably of fluffy cats and people falling off skateboards, people watching movies or highlights from different events. There's a small proportion and a growing proportion of people using YouTube for education. Because we've got to think about how do we like people to learn? How do we like to learn? And some people like to learn by reading. Some people like to learn by listening. Others like to learn by watching. And so they're the types of people that like going to a seminar or like a hands-on demonstration. YouTube allows us to do that. And because it's the second largest search engine in the world, all this means for us is that there is opportunity. Let's have a look at this YouTube channel, and this is eHow Finance, is their YouTube channel. This video, and it's not actually a very good video, I've got to be honest, but 6,000 people have viewed this video of IRS 1099 forms instructions. In all honesty, all she does is she goes down and reads the instructions off the form, but it's got 6,000 views. 19,000 views of how to fill out a W-4 form, 13,000 views of tax help, what happens when you such and such. And I think this really does help build our profile. As you can see, it's all. I'll encourage you to go to YouTube after this, but what you'll see is it's not a it's not a Spielberg-esque presentation. We've got some good lighting, we've got a good background, and we're just going through in 3 minutes, or in this instance, 1 minute 16, where we're really just talking about a key thing within accounting. And this, again, is just opportunity. What are some of the frequently asked questions that your clients are asking you? Do you feel comfortable getting in front of a video camera? Just buy one of the flip cams or even a high-definition webcam is all you need. Free software will help you edit and then post. And not to say this This will take longer than 10 minutes the first time, but you'll become very good at it, and you'll write your script, and you'll record it, you'll edit it, and you'll post it. Alternatively, get some of the youngsters, get your kids to do it, because they'll be absolute whizzes at the software. So I would encourage you to do that if you do feel comfortable. Just get in front of a camera and see what the end result looks like. You can then make a decision how to post it. Let's go and have a look at Witham, Smith and Brown's. This is the Witham, Smith and Brown's channel. Top 100 firm out of New Jersey. I think about 14 offices. They have had 66,000 people view their videos. Now, some of them are flash mobs. Some of them are the managing partner starting a flash mob in the New York Underground or subway. But others are answering different questions coming in, how to deal with tax deferments. Also, interestingly, they use this as a very big recruitment tool. And a lot of, for example, somebody that's just been made partner talks about how they became a partner. Somebody talks about specialized services for different business units. Somebody talks about their wealth management aspect. Somebody talks about their Chinese business division. Somebody talks about is an intern and shares their experience of what it was like. So it really gives an insight into what it is to work at Witham, Smith and Brown. I've got to say, 66,000 views, that's got to have picked up some sort of work. It's got to have been active in a recruitment campaign. These type of flash videos or flash mob videos, they're obviously a little bit more involved than a 3-minute YouTube video. That's where expense comes in. But it doesn't have to be like that for you. If you just wanted a good background, good lighting, you might have a whiteboard in the background. You might even have PowerPoint sitting on a projector. There's so many different ways that you can use YouTube. So let's have a look at HD cam, favorable lighting, and go, and just see what the end product's like. Just needs to be 2 to 3 minutes. Focus on repurposing content. So what are some tips? What are some newsletter articles? What are some top 10 ideas that you've seen that your firm has put out? Put out top 10 tax planning tips if you want to. Obviously, put the disclaimers there, but put out how to void transactions in QuickBooks. Repurpose content as much as possible. Okay, coming up to 10:56. Let's very quickly talk about pay-per-click. I'm not going to go into Google Plus or Facebook. These are other platforms, and again, I think it just depends on where your clients are and what you feel familiar with. I see Facebook more as and Google Plus more as a current client and staff retention tool than actually recruiting new clients. I think they're more just to be able to drip on people, just to be able to touch people, just to be able to share with folks. And also some people are struggling with keeping their professional and personal lives separate within Facebook, which makes some people less inclined to maybe like your CPA firm because they don't know security settings, etc. But just ask your clients, are they on Facebook? Are they using it for business development purposes? And if so, that might be inclined to say, yes, let's incorporate Facebook. But again, it's exactly the same thing as we're doing. Just educate, share, promote. Let's look at pay-per-click. I'd say give it a try, and you're not going to pick up new business from it, or if you do pick up new business, it's probably going to be quite price sensitive. But what it allows us to do is get feedback as to what people are clicking on. It also allows us to be very targeted. I actually think LinkedIn ads might be worth a try because we can increase traffic to our website inexpensively and it's measurable. We can see if people are actually clicking on that and we can try different messages. So this is the LinkedIn section, and what we can do is we can set a budget, for example. We can look at the different keywords that are being used, and interestingly, we can see, for example, that tax help, that attracts a much higher cost per click because there's a lot of competition for that keyword. So if somebody clicks on your ad, it's going to get $6. It's going to cost you $6.25, whereas some of these other ones, tax help for business, how do I prepare my taxes, how much does a tax return cost. They're different keywords that have a different cost per click, and all it does is it allows you to test what people are clicking on. So this is our ad for Fredrickson.com. Need help this tax season, on time, on budget, oh, and great coffee. Click on Fredrickson.com. We can just measure that, and we can see whenever we've gone with tax help. So whenever somebody Googles tax help, my ad should come up somewhere depending on how much I bid for that keyword. What I can do is I can really target it. So I can target it to San Francisco, or I can target it just to towns within, say, 10 miles of our Corte Madera office. And so again, what it means is I'm just really drilling down into who is going to be clicking on everything. We can also set a budget. So set a budget for $50 a day, but it gives us really good feedback in terms of what are people clicking on. And that's what we want to do, is set a budget for $15 a day and just see what people are clicking on to give you feedback into how you can better improve your website, better improve your search engine optimization. This is a feedback loop. So this is our San Francisco seminars, or our CPE seminars, 2020 group. That's what people actually searched and clicked on, and it cost us $3.50 or something along those lines. We got 9 clicks from that, so that's interesting. And then we tested other keywords. So that's what we're looking to do in our keyword searches. And again, very quickly, give me a call and we'll spend some time setting up a pay-per-click. But it's a feedback mechanism, not necessarily a new business development mechanism. But once we have those keywords, we can feed them back into our website, back into our social media platforms. So here it is, social media in 10 minutes or less per day. Each day, each 10-minute session, let's follow and connect with 5 people. Let's read the Daily Digest email, like, tweet, share an article, and schedule the day with Hootsuite. And that is essentially your 10 minutes. Obviously, if there's somewhere in which we can respond in that Daily Digest, alternatively, we might forward that to another person in our office to say, can you answer this question and get it back to me? Like, tweet, share an article. We can encourage everyone in the office to send whoever's the social media champion 1 article a day that they thought was interesting with 3 sentences as to why it was interesting. We can then schedule those to go out onto all of our platforms through Hootsuite, and that will take 10 minutes or less. So let's ask the question, our final poll, will you add social media to your marketing efforts? And it's just a yes or no, but I would really encourage you to, because it's free, it's time effective, and it's cost effective. And not to say this will completely replace referrals, completely replace networking, but it supports all those other efforts, and it enhances what you're saying out there in one-on-one meetings or at networking events. Thankfully, 100% have said yes, and what I hope this webinar has done is given you some ideas, but we can really just 10 minutes a day or less really start building our profile. And what I'd encourage you to do is jump online and schedule a time with us so that we can spend some time on the program. I'll send these slides out after. I've recorded the webinar as well, so people can then review it and then spend some time with us and say, Damien, can we get together for 30 minutes just to talk either about Google Analytics, or here's our Twitter profile. Let's spend some time in the actual profile. Damien, can you review my LinkedIn profile and spend 20 minutes. Let us know what we can do. Let's create an action plan of who's going to be responsible, when's it going to be responsible for. Let's just have modest goals, and away we go. And folks, any questions that want to come through, please type those in. And if they don't, who asked that question? So someone did say insight into Google+. I'm intimidated by it, but it seems to be gaining popularity. You're not the only person that is intimidated by it, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. I would be inclined to look at Twitter and LinkedIn first and get comfortable with those, because I think there are more and more people on Twitter and LinkedIn than there are on Google+. Get comfortable with LinkedIn and Twitter, and then what we can do is, once we're comfortable with it and when we're comfortable with sharing and retweeting and following, we can then just add the different platforms. Yes, it's gaining popularity, but The social media platforms will change and will evolve, but the way in which we make buying decisions has not changed, or the way we make buying decisions has changed forever, and it really is based on the recommendation and based on a presence across multiple platforms, which includes in-person, direct mail, social media. So I'd encourage you definitely to get on board with this bandwagon, and I hope that I've given you a couple of ideas just for this tax season to get going. So I will shut down there and say thank you everyone for joining us. If you do have any questions, feel free to email those over to me, and as I said, more than happy to do one-on-one sessions with you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful afternoon, and let us know how we can help your firm. Thanks very much.